Batman the video game was released for the Sega Genesis in 1991. Based on the 1989 Batman movie starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, it was awkwardly released 2 years later. This was strange timing, as the Sega Genesis was released the same summer as the movie. As such, the NES version, which was released only months after the film, is the higher profile video game adaptation. Both games were developed by Sunsoft, but they have very significant differences. So is the Genesis version an improvement on the NES title? The most obvious difference between the two games is that the Genesis version of Batman is a much better representation of the movie. The NES Batman looks as if Sunsoft took a completely different game, made some changes to make things kinda resemble Gotham City, and left it at that. The Genesis version, on the other hand, is remarkable for how closely it mirrors the film. Virtually every enemy looks like a character that appeared in the film. This enemy also looks like Sean Hannity, which makes them extra fun to punch. Environments from the film look remarkably similar in the game. Even areas exclusive to the game look as if they could exist in the movie, reflecting its gothic architecture. The Batmobile and Batwing look gorgeous, even if those two levels stray the farthest. Unless I missed the part where Batman went on a vehicular murder spree through the streets and sky of Gotham. Visually, this is as close as a 16-bit licensed game can look to its source material. Comparing the gameplay of the two versions is a similar story, with a different result. I'll save a deep dive for its eventual review, but while the NES version's gameplay strays a bit from the movie, with weird extra weapons and wall jumping, it provides a deeper gameplay experience. On Genesis, gameplay is stripped bare. Batman has only his fists, feet, and batarangs, just like the movie. He also has a grappling hook and a forward somersault similar to a double jump. None of this is used in any particularly interesting way. The first level can literally be finished without doing anything but pushing right and stopping occasionally to punch. There isn't even a token obstacle to jump over. The Batmobile and Batwing levels are very pretty ways to spice things up, but it's still just basic shooter gameplay. All of this leads to an unchallenging experience. No enemy poses a particular threat to Batman unless grouped heavily, but that happens very rarely. Platforming challenges are very straightforward and only hampered by occasionally wonky feeling controls. Batman has only 2 different jump speeds, and you cannot correct in midair. This leads to some awkward missed landings. There is also a misleading health meter. Some hits don't take any health away. Others can take half of your full bar. The meter doesn't give you a good idea of how much damage you can take depending on your current situation. Bosses are not challenging either. They all have simple, easy to pick up patterns, and honestly, the first boss might be the trickiest. None of this makes Batman a bad game. It's still fun. There's just very little depth. It's as simple as Batman punching his way all the way to the top of Gotham Cathedral. One area where this game absolutely does not match the movie is music. None of the music from the film, either from Prince or Danny Elfman, make a translation into the game. The music doesn't even sound Elfman-esque. What's here, though, is still very good and appropriate for the game. It's just more comic booky than cinematic. Batman the video game for Genesis is a great movie adaptation, but an average game. Without a license, the gameplay is so milquetoast that it's hard to imagine it ever finding an audience. The tremendous effort put in to capture the look of the Tim Burton film makes a huge difference. The attention to detail, down to every individual enemy character, makes for a great atmosphere. It carries an otherwise very average game to something more than the sum of its parts.